How's it going, everybody? My name is Chase Keep and welcome to my channel. Today's video is for everybody out there who is currently struggling with spending a little too much time on their phone or computer or tablet or any other digital devices that they may have. Digital minimalism is something that I've talked about on my channel before, but today I want to go over 5 big hacks that will seriously help you cut down on your screen time. From my experience, these are the 5 biggest hacks for breaking your reliance or dependence on the digital devices that you might be having right now. They've worked for me in the past, and I can guarantee that they will work for you. But with that, let's jump straight into this video, starting with the big digital minimalism hack number 1. Alright, here we go. The first of these big digital minimalism hacks that I want to talk about is actually making your social media apps difficult to access. Social media is almost always the single biggest draw on a person's phone or other digital device. They log on to these apps and just want to see something. They constantly want to see updates. They constantly want to see and interact with other people. And because of this, anything that you can do to cut down on the amount of time that you spend on social media is in turn going to really help cut down on your screen time. So here's a few things that you can do within this overall hack to kind of break that reliance and stop going on to social media apps all the time. So the first thing you can do, and this one's actually the easiest, it requires the least effort from you, but you can actually move your social media apps from the front page of your phone onto the second or maybe even third page. You can put them inside of folders, just make them a little bit more difficult to actually access. Instead of making it so that all you have to do is pull up your phone and click on one of those icons to get into the social media apps, make it so that you have to swipe somewhere or click into a folder or type a password, maybe even if you want to go a little crazy with it. Just make it a little bit more difficult to actually access those apps. Adding just that little extra effort into getting into your social media apps is going to help you stay not tempted into clicking on them all the time. A lot of people like to check social media when they just have a free minute. Maybe they're waiting in line or in the bathroom or something, and they like to just jump onto those social media apps, do a quick little refresh, and just see what comes up in that few seconds that they have. But you will be a lot less likely to actually go through all of that when you only have a few seconds and it takes a little bit of effort to get into the social media app, and in doing so you might actually be cutting down your reliance on that app. Instead of constantly feeling like you need to check Twitter, you need to check Instagram, you might just remember that there's a little bit of effort involved, and it might psychologically turn your brain off from that activity. I know it sounds a bit crazy to be talking about, but this hack has absolutely worked for me. Moving apps onto another page, putting them inside of a folder, has seriously cut down my screen time. Another thing that I've done to make social media apps difficult to access is I just delete them from my phone entirely, and I move all social media activity onto my computer. Obviously, getting onto a computer to access social media apps takes a lot longer than jumping on your phone. So again, just doing this is forcing you to put in a little bit more time, a little bit more effort, just to do something that you actually don't need to do every second of the day. And then if you really want to dive into this specific digital minimalism hack, you can actually go ahead and delete all of the apps from your phone. Make it so that there's almost nothing on that phone that might tempt you into logging on and checking something throughout the day. In the beginning, it might be a little difficult to get used to actually jumping on your phone because you want to check Twitter, and then you realize Twitter doesn't exist on your phone anymore. But really, what this does is break that reliance that you might have on your phone for news and information, while also just cutting down your screen time, which again is the goal of this video. The second big digital minimalism hack you can try today is actually turning notifications off. This is a massive step on the process on this journey towards digital minimalism, and I truly believe that everybody out there should practice this. Notifications may seem harmless enough, especially for people who think that they've gotten used to the constant barrage of notifications that their phones bring. But in reality, everything, even if it's just as small as a badge or an alert or a sound, that's going to distract you from whatever you're doing at that time. And it's going to tempt you into clicking onto that icon, jumping into that social media app. Even if it's just for a super quick activity, that's really going to take away time from whatever else you're trying to get done that day. And clicking onto those notifications also makes it a lot more likely that you're then going to spend a bunch of time in those apps. And again, we're trying to make it so that that doesn't happen. So my advice is just turn off all the notifications that you possibly can. Only leave things that are super important to you, maybe messages and phone calls, and that's it. Get rid of all other notifications. And it's almost equally as important to turn off badges. These are the little red dots that are in the top right corner of your apps when you miss a message. And honestly, those are just super tempting. When you see that you missed a message on Instagram or even just a text message, you always feel inclined to click on that. So turn those badges off, turn those notifications off, and keep that phone as nice and clean and minimalist as you possibly can. And you're just getting one step closer towards this end goal of digital minimalism. All right, moving on to the third big digital minimalism hack of the day. This one is actually something that has really worked for me, and it's quite unconventional. I haven't heard of many people actually implementing this in their lives, but actually try to schedule the time that you spend on your phone or your computer, and specifically any social media apps. Literally every time you plan out your day or schedule your week, block out some time for checking Instagram or checking Twitter or watching YouTube videos, and make sure that you don't check those apps or go onto those devices unless you specifically planned that time out. This is a great little trick because honestly, knowing that you're going to be spending some time on social media on like Saturday morning makes you a lot less likely to feel tempted by YouTube on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, because you know that when Saturday rolls around, you're going to be able to get your fill of that app while still giving you a lot of free time every other day of the week to focus on other projects or just do other things or hang out with other people. It's just really freeing, and I really enjoy this one little hack. When I implemented this myself, what I actually found was that spending less time on these apps still gave me all of the value that I thought that I was getting before. So instead of spending 8 hours on the app, I was only spending 1 hour on the app per week, and I still felt like I was getting everything out of it that I actually wanted. And that literally taught me that social media wasn't as important as I originally thought it was. So I started to cut down on the amount of time I spent on that app just by planning out smaller and smaller blocks. And eventually I kind of weaned myself off of many social media apps entirely. And that is something that you can do as well. So again, just try scheduling out time on digital devices and social media apps. See if it works for you. See if it's something that you can do and implement in your life effectively, because it really can change the way that you view social media. The fourth of these big digital minimalism hacks for today's video is going to be the first one that is really a big lifestyle change, and it might be a little crazy to say to you guys, but it will work if you can implement it effectively. Do your best to avoid spending a lot of time with people who religiously check their phones or computers, or who spend all of their time scrolling through social media. I know this one sounds a little rough, and I honestly don't want anybody to stop hanging out with friends or family because of this tip, but honestly, if you surround yourself with people who are constantly on social media, you yourself are going to be a lot more likely to also feel tempted to check social media. I'm sure most people in today's world have found themselves in those situations where they're in a room full of people, but everybody is on their phone, and what are you going to do? You kind of have to pull out your phone as well so that you can kind of fit in with the crowd. But again, we're trying to cut down on that activity, so I would just highly encourage people to either A, stop hanging out and spending a lot of time with people who are constantly on their phones, or B, try to actively encourage everybody to get off of their phones, get off of social media, get off of their computers, and go do something else. This is a great opportunity for you, yourself, the viewer, to take action and try and encourage everybody to kind of get off social media. Not only are you going to be helping yourself because you won't be tempted to click on social media, but you're also going to help everybody around you, and you're going to be promoting these healthier habits that will lead to a long-term success. So if digital minimalism and cutting down on your screen time truly are your ultimate goals, then I would just highly encourage you to try and avoid spending a lot of time with people who are constantly on their phones or people who are constantly scrolling through social media. And that finally brings me to the fifth hack of the day. And I've been talking about every single one of these hacks and calling them big digital minimalism hacks, but this one, tip number 5, is the single biggest, most important hack that you can implement in your life today to cut down on your screen time. If you truly want to practice digital minimalism, the single best thing that you can do to actually achieve that goal is to fill your time, the time that you're currently spending on your phone or on your computer, fill it with something else that brings value to your life, that is motivating you to get off of your digital devices. Just anything that you can do in that time that can substitute for screen time. This tip is so important because a lot of people try to cut down on their screen time, but then they don't bring anything to the table that can substitute in for screen time. And if you don't do that, you're far more likely to just relapse and fall back into those bad, unhealthy habits of being on your phone all the time or scrolling through social media all the time. What you truly need to do is just find some activity, some project that you can work on. It literally could be anything. This is very subjective. I can't necessarily tell you exactly what it's going to be for you. Only you know exactly what can motivate you to get off your phone the most and exactly what can motivate you to cut down on that screen time starting right now. Maybe you start doing puzzles, maybe you start working out, maybe you start your own YouTube channel, just anything that you can do that takes up all of that time that normally you would just spend surfing through social media, and instead devote it entirely to something that brings you value and gives you a purpose almost for that time. And I'll say this one more time because I really do believe that this warrants repeating. This is the single biggest hack out of them all. If you try to cut down your screen time but don't substitute that with anything else, you're going to really struggle with digital minimalism. So before you do anything else, try to find something that you can do that will fill your time up and again, bring you value and purpose in your life. And if you can do that and find an activity that makes you feel happy and makes you feel motivated and just brings value to your life, then that, along with the 4 other big digital minimalism hacks that I talked about today, you will be living a happier and healthier life, free from a reliance or a dependence on any digital device. And I can truly say that that right there is my ultimate end goal. I would love to help anybody actually achieve that state here on my channel. But if you did learn something today in this video, please let me know down below in the comment section. I would love to know if you guys are enjoying digital minimalism type of videos and want more in the future. And at the same time, if you did enjoy this video even just a little bit, please remember to turn that like button blue before you go. It helps my channel out so much and it'll help get this video pushed to more and more people, which will help more and more people achieve the same digital minimalism goals that you are trying to achieve yourself. And otherwise, if you don't want to miss a single upload on this channel, make sure you subscribe. New videos are up every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and the easiest way to never miss one of those is to subscribe to the channel. But with that, I hope everyone is having an amazingly frugal day, and I will see you all again next time.